All right, so switching. In general, we would call switching fast and inexpensive. Okay? The inexpensive part of switching is the equipment and the labor. Okay? Routers have to be configured. Routers are more expensive than switches, but most of the cost is going to be in the configuration. Okay? Routing is just costly. You can get a router that's going to run as fast as a switch. It's just going to cost you more money, but no matter what, it takes more equipment and more labor. Okay? And the bottom line here, we'll put here, and potentially it does get a little complicated. So they have a funny little saying. They say, switch where you can, route where you must. Okay? And you guys have already seen one situation where we have to switch from, we have to take off our switch and go to routing. You guys remember that? What was it that we needed, or what would happen to our subnet that would make it so it needed to be divided? So the size of a subnet, that is how many computers I can connect with switches, is limited by what? You guys remember? Well, the port's on a switch. Oh, we haven't done our tour. We'll do a tour soon enough. You can get a switch with like 1,000 ports on it, but most of the time you only want about 500 hosts on a subnet. You guys remember why? It's all right. It's only a few weeks ago. Broadcast, do you guys remember the broadcast traffic? Eventually there's so much broadcasting traffic that it just gets to be a big mess. Okay? So normally right now we're at about 500 as a maximum on a subnet. Otherwise it just gets a big mess. All right, this is the fun part. Okay, so I'm on my computer. Let's just do this computer here. Remember, my computer is 128.82. My IP address is 128.82.42.165. Okay? If I look at this computer, and they probably won't let me do it. Oh. There we go. Can I get on the monitor now for a second? I'm going to try to jack up the font size for you so you can see maybe. Oof, that's somewhat okay. Oh, punks, all right. I'm going to have to change it. Sorry, we'll go with this 192.168 because I won't be able to explain it with my real IP address. So my IP address is 192.168.200.233. Now y'all saw when I did the Google, what is my IP, or did you see it? It gave me my real IP address. This one's private. I already told you 192.168, but it still works, okay? I'll go back to the monitor. There are 3 things you need in order for your computer to be configured correctly to use the internet. Okay? It won't work otherwise. You need what's called obviously an IP address. You need what's called a subnet mask. Okay? I'm just going to write mask here, and mine is 255.255.255.0. Okay? That's this number right here. You guys know while I'm talking about this, I'm writing it on my paper, right underneath it. Okay, and then the bottom one where it says default gateway, that is actually my router's IP address. I have no idea why they still call it default gateway. It was a stupid term when there was actually a thing called a gateway. But that is your router's IP address. This is the IP address that you use by default, and we'll talk about that in a minute. Okay? All right, so switch back to here. So again, this is the three things. I need a real IP address, I need a subnet mask, and I need a router's IP address. The router IP must be on the same subnet. Okay? And I will tell you how we determine that in a minute, but you can see it by looking at it, right? I'm 192.168.200.233. The router is 192.168.200.1.